Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today, doing the mid-year top 10s. I'm continuing these. This is going to be on the 140-pound junior welterweight division as we look at the top 10 there and see what's been going on at the halfway point of 2022 here. Remember, these aren't official. Guys drop out. They don't officially drop out of the top 10 until I do my year-end top 10. So, that being said, let's jump into it and let's look at whoever's dropped out for the moment of my top 10. The first is former 4-division world champion Mikey Garcia. He came in number 7. He drops out just because the guy has not scheduled his next fight. His last fight, he was supposed to be returning to 140 officially, but he hasn't made that decision. His last fight was in October of last year at a catchweight of 144 against Sandor Martin, which he lost. And prior to that, it was like a year and a half, I believe, layoff. So, for me, Mikey just hasn't been fighting that much, and he hasn't fought at all at 140 in years. So I'm dropping him out for the moment unless he makes a serious return. And Mikey can always land big fights, so it just depends on when he wants to return and what he wants to do. But he's not getting any younger, so we'll see. Excuse me. Also dropping out is former lightweight champion of the world, Robert Easter Jr. Same kind of thing for Robert Easter. Even though, his last few fights have been at 140, he doesn't stay busy. I know that's not all his fault. He has trouble finding top-tier competition, and the PBC doesn't have a big stronghold on this division. But, I want to see him, step it up and fight somebody solid like Gary Antoine Russell. I also think there was some kind of shooting or something that Robert was in. He might have gotten injured, so not sure when he's coming back or what he's going to do, but we'll see. Now let's jump into the top 10, and we start with Montana Love. He stays at number 10. He entered the year number 10. He's a contender. Right now, his highest, he fought in May. He stayed busy against Gabriel Valenzuela and actually had a little bit of a rough time on the Canelo undercard. He ended up getting a 12-round unanimous decision, but it was a good fight, and he had to work hard for that one. So he walked away with the win. Right now, he's the number 8 contender in the IBF. That's his highest ranking. So he's going to have to do some work. And Montana Love, nobody's really signing on the dotted line and rushing to the front of the line to try to fight him. So he might have to do it the hard way and win eliminators and stuff like that. So hopefully he could land one of those before the end of the year. Number 9 is former multi-division champion Jose Pedraza. He drops 1 spot from number 8. Now Pedraza entered the year, with a showdown with Jose Ramirez on the horizon in February. And he went in there and he fought as hard as he could, but he just got outworked, against a better fighter. But there's no shame in it. He fought hard. He had his moments, but Ramirez just controlled the action, dictated the pace, and outworked them. And now Pedraza, he's becoming a gatekeeper to some extent. Excuse me. But he's really coming on his last, what I think is a crossroads fight. He's likely going to be fighting Richard Comey. I know they were scheduled to fight in August. I haven't seen a rescheduled date yet, but right now they're talking about him fighting Richard Comey, which is a big crossroads fight for both those former champs. So got to be interesting. I hope that fight comes off because I think it's a good matchup, but we just got to wait and see what goes down. Now, number 8 is former world champion Victor Postol. He drops 3 spots from number 5. Postol got a big fight in, I believe it was February. End of February, he took on Gary Antoine Russell, undefeated contender, and he fought his ass off. Even with the Ukraine situation the way it is and his family being over there, he still went forward with the fight against Russell and went and fought as hard as he could, but he really got outworked in that one. Gary Russell was outboxing him, outworking him, and then he stopped him in the 10th round. I believe it was the 10th round. Yeah, the 10th round. It was a premature stoppage. It probably shouldn't have been stopped, but nonetheless, he was going to lose the fight on the cards, but he fought hard. And then he went immediately back to the Ukraine. So given the fact that he wasn't a very active fighter to begin with, I just don't see him, being rushed back to the, front anytime soon. And with the situation in Ukraine and him being with his family, he's probably not going to fight the rest of the year, in my opinion. But you never know. He's a WBC's number 15 contender, so I don't think he's going to get anything big anytime soon, but we'll see. Number 7 is contender Sandor Martin. He drops one spot from number 6. He fought April 1st. He took on a little-known guy named Jose Felix. It was his first fight since the impressive upset he had over Mikey Garcia last year. And he dominated Felix to a one-sided unanimous decision over 10 rounds. He's the WBC and the WBA's number 5 contender. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sandor Martin gets a shot against somebody. You know what? And I think a fight that he could land that would be a big eliminator would be him and Montana Love, to be honest, because they both have ties to the zone. It makes sense, and they're both kind of being avoided right now. And I think that fight makes a lot of sense, but we'll see what goes down and happens for Sandor Martin. Now, number 6 is the undefeated contender, Gary Antoine Russell. He wasn't even ranked coming in, and he lands the 6th spot after that dominating 10th round TKO win over Victor Postol. Again, the fight should not have been stopped. It should have went to the scorecards. It was stopped prematurely, but Gary Russell was winning that fight, hands down. Postol fought hard. He was doing as best he could, but he just couldn't keep up with the aggressive Gary Antoine Russell. And now he's really moved himself into a great position. On July 30th, he's taken on former 2 or 3 division champion Rances Barthelemy. And that's a big one right there for Russell. If he gets the win there, the sky's the limit, because right now he's a WBC's number 7 contender, but that can move him closer to a title shot with a win over Barthelemy, and I think he's going to get it. I think he's probably going to stop the veteran Barthelemy, but we'll see what happens. That's going to be on Showtime, July 30th, Russell versus Barthelemy. Number 5 is contender, former world title challenger, Jack Catterall. Catterall got the opportunity of a lifetime in February when he challenged the then undisputed champion and undefeated Josh Taylor, and probably should have walked away with a victory. Most people feel that it was a good fight, but he scored a knockdown in the fight, and it went to the scorecards where the judges came back with a controversial 12-round split decision, and it really turned 140 upside down, because Josh Taylor was the undisputed champ, no questions, pound for pound top 10, and then Catterall wasn't even ranked and probably should have got the win. Now though, enough people have chirped at Josh Taylor where he lost one of his belts. He had to forfeit one of his belts, but he's gonna make a mandatory against Jose Cepeda most likely next, and then his goal is to fight Jack Catterall in a rematch before he moves up in weight. So Catterall probably just going to stay busy in the second half of the year while he waits around for that rematch, because why risk it? He's a WBO's number 3 contender, so I don't think he should risk it at all. But tough loss right there, because from all intents and purposes, what I read, I didn't watch the fight all the way through. I just saw a lot of the highlights. Most people feel that he should have won that fight. So tough one, but it does look like he's going to get another opportunity, just probably not in 2022. Number 4 is former champion Regis Prograis. He stays number 4. He returned and fought in March against Tyrone McKenna and stopped him in the 6th round. Really not much to say. He's the WBC's number 3 contender. He's trying to move in line for a title shot, but it's not going to happen this year. He's probably going to just end up staying busy in the second half of the year, but I hope he can land a solid opponent, next. It's just, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would love to see him and maybe Jose Ramirez lock horns to try to become the next mandatory for the belt. That would be big, but again, the promotion's got to agree, and right now, Prograis has not really been able to land anybody. Nobody's really signing on dotted line trying to fight him, so just got to wait and see. Number 3 is contender, former 2-time world title challenger, Jose Cepeda. He remains number 3. He's the WBC's number 1 contender. He hasn't fought this year yet, but it looks like his opportunity is here. It looks like later this year, in the next month or 2, he's going to get the crack at unified champion undefeated Josh Taylor. That's the biggest fight of his career right there, And I think he's a very live underdog, especially with the way Taylor looked the last time out. I honestly am going to give Taylor the edge in this one, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Cepeda pulled off the upset and walked away the new unified champion. But we'll see what goes down. That fight's very close to being finalized, and I really cannot wait to see it. Number 2 is the former unified champion, Jose Ramirez. He stays number 2. He's the WBC and the WBO's number 2 contender, and he took on Jose Cepeda in March and scored an impressive, 12-round unanimous decision in that one. Really didn't have too much trouble in that one, outworking him. It just wasn't like super impressive. It wasn't like overwhelming performance to where it was that oh wow type shit. It was just kind of got the job done, got the win. He outworked them and walked away the winner. Now it's what does he do next in the second half of the year? We know he's not going to get Taylor. He's not fighting Cepeda in a rematch. Does he fight Prograis? Does he fight one of the other guys sitting in the top 10 right here to try to mandate a world title shot? I mean, I would love to see that. Maybe by the end of the year, he could get Teofimo Lopez, since they're both with Top Rank, and Teofimo Lopez is making his debut at 140 in August. So hopefully that's the case. We'll see what goes down. Jose Ramirez, though, up in the air what's going to happen next for him. And still number 1 is the undefeated, reigning unified champion, Josh Taylor. And yes, I said unified champ because a couple months ago he had to forfeit his WBA belt because the WBA ordered him to make a mandatory and against Albert Puello, and either the timing was off or he had to make a mandatory against Cepeda, and that's why he didn't sign on to fight Puello. But according to Taylor, he was promised that the governing bodies were going to work together to allow him to fight his mandatories one at a time. So kind of a shock, sucks. He lost, he's not undisputed, but he should be lucky to have any belts, because most people feel, as I said a little while ago, that he lost to Jack Catterall when they fought in February for the undisputed title. He walked away with a razor-thin 12-round split decision, even though he took a knockdown in that fight. And now next for him is Jose Cepeda, mandatory number 1 contender in the WBC. Gonna be a very good fight of 2 very good southpaws right here. Really looking forward to that fight. They don't have a date signed and sealed yet, but that is most likely what's going to happen. Again, I'm favoring Taylor, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cepeda pulled off the upset in that one. So should be an interesting close to the year at 140 for Taylor, as Taylor's plan is to fight Cepeda and then probably first half of next year rematch against Jack Catterall before he decides to move up in weight. So we'll see what goes down. But that's it. That's the mid-year top 10 for the 140-pound junior welterweight division. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.